The purpose of the spiritual teachings is to facilitate a shift in identity. And the ultimate purpose is to facilitate a shift from I am a victim of a separate world to I am the observer of a separate world to I am the creator of the world and I am one with the world. There is no separation. And to me, that holds true with the various spiritual and religious traditions. In Buddhism, the purpose of the spiritual teachings, the ultimate purpose is to realize that all sentient beings are the Buddha, or that my mind is the Buddha mind. In Christianity, it's to realize that I and the Father are one, or that the individual person is one with God. There's no separation. And in Hinduism, it's to realize that the Atman, the individual consciousness, the individual soul, is one with Brahman, the universal soul. There's no separation. And who shall I say sent me? Moses asked God. Who shall I say sent me? Tell them I am sent you. I am that I am. I am is my name. This I am that Moses is one with God. And I am that I am. There's no separation. This is the purpose of the spiritual teachings, is to realize that we as individuals are one with the Absolute, that the relative life is one with the Absolute life, or the relative consciousness is one with the universal consciousness. And to realize this is our identity, that I and the Father are one, that my mind is the Buddha mind, that my soul is the universal soul, that Atman is Brahman. So this is the purpose of the spiritual teachings, to facilitate a shift in identity from I am a poor, separate, independent body, mind, ego, to I am one with the infinite totality. The shift from an identity that I was born as a separate mind and body, that I live, suffer, and I die, to I am infinite, eternal, universal life. My life is universal life. It was never born, it will never die. My intelligence is not limited to my education, my programming, my conditioning, but my intelligence is universal intelligence. My intelligence is the same intelligence that forms every life form, our planet, our solar system, our galaxy. Every galaxy is formed by, created by this universal intelligence that I am. So, to break it down into three experiences in the human experience in terms of our identity, is the normal human experience is one of separation, that I am a separate person, and I'm separate from the world. And this is how most of us spend most of our lives in terms of our identity, is I am a separate person. I am a separate mind and body. I am a separate ego. And I am separate from my world of experience. There's a lot of suffering involved when my identity is with a separate mind and body, a separate ego. I am a separate ego. It's experienced as I am a victim. I am a victim of a separate world. So this is the identity that we spend most of our lives in initially, is I am a victim of a separate world. The world is happening independent of me. That I was born into a world and I am subject to a world of experience that's separate from me, that I had no part in creating. Therefore, I feel like a victim. I was born into a world, and the world of experience was thrown upon me. And I feel I have no choice in my experience at all. So this is the first identity. I am a victim of a separate world. And then we hear about the spiritual teachings. In most of the spiritual teachings, when you really get into them deeply, most of them will suggest the practice of observing your experience, becoming aware of your world of experience, becoming aware of your thoughts and your thought stories, becoming aware of and observing your emotions and your emotional stories, becoming aware of and observing your whole experience, your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations, becoming aware of and observing your mind and your body, becoming aware of and observing how you react and respond to the separate world. And more, as you practice this, either in meditation and or in your daily life, when you take on the identity of an observer, almost immediately you notice a sense of relief, a sense of peace, because when you're observing your thoughts, your emotions, your sensations, and your experience, there's a sense of spaciousness that comes along with that. We no longer feel so identified with the thought stories, the emotional stories, with the individual separate ego, body, and mind. But by observing, we get a sense of spaciousness between ourselves as this consciousness that's observing and the experience that we're observing, the thoughts and the emotions, the sensations, the relationships, the career situation. There's a sense of space that opens up when we take on the identity of the observer. I am the observer of these thoughts and emotions. I am watching this world of experience. Almost immediately we notice a sense of relief and a sense of peace, because for most of us, when we first start taking on that identity of an observer, it's the first time we really became aware of this consciousness, this witnessing presence, that about us that is watching, that about us which is aware. For most of us, when we begin doing that, it's the first time we really noticed this consciousness or this awareness. And it's the first time we noticed a sense of space that seems to expand as our identity shifts from I am a victim of thoughts and emotions, sensations, and my world of experience. I am a victim. The identity shifts to I am the observer. There's a sense of spaciousness that opens up with that. Now, there can continue to be a sense of separation, because I am the observer, and I am observing my thoughts and thought stories, emotions, emotional stories, my sensations of the body. I am observing this ego, mind, body, and I am observing other ego, mind, and mind bodies that are in relationship to this ego, mind, body. And I am observing thoughts and emotions that seem to come into my experience. So there's still a sense of separation as the observer. However, we notice a sense of spaciousness, a sense of relief, and a sense of peace to a certain degree as the observer. But still, there's the sense of our mind and body, or our ego, mind and body, is still experiences itself as a victim. Even though there's a sense of spaciousness and a relative degree of peace as the observer, there's still a sense of separation. Even though in a practical way in my daily experience my identity is shifting to the observer more and more, I still feel like a victim of thoughts, emotions, sensations, experience, and relationship. I don't feel like that I am one with my experience. I still feel separation. The normal human experience is one of I am a victim of a separate world, and through the spiritual teachings, most of which suggest some form of watching or observing our experience, and what that does is it facilitates a shift in identity to I am the observer. So I am a victim, I am an observer, that feels better, but we still experience ourselves as a victim, because we're still observing a separate world. So what's required at that point as an observer, we can continue to ask questions about the nature of our experience. It's easier to ask questions about the nature of our experience as an observer because we're not so identified with the experience. We're not so identified with a victim. So as the observer, with this spaciousness, we can question our experience. Well, how is it that these mental states arise in me, or these emotional states arise in me? How is it that I experience peace in relationship and then discomfort in relationship, happiness or sadness? How is it that I experience these mental, emotional, and physical states? How is it that I experience myself in relationship with other people? How is it that I experience myself in relationship to the world? And the more we inquire into the nature of our experience and contemplate the nature of our experience, and the more we are identified as the observer, which allows space between the consciousness that's observing and the objects of experience, the easier it is to have deep insights into the nature of our experience and facilitate the ultimate shift in identity from I am the victim to I am the observer to I am one with the Creator. Well, through observing, through contemplating and inquiring the nature of our experience, it becomes more and more obvious that every moment of experience, and here's where the inquiry and the observation and the contemplation is powerful. When you inquire into the nature of your own experience, not only as a theory, but in your own direct experience, and witness, observe, and contemplate the nature of the creation of your experience in the moment you're experiencing it. And ask, is it possible that I am the creator of this experience and I'm not a victim of this experience? Is that possible? Because I've heard and read and understood that the ultimate understanding and the ultimate purpose of the spiritual teachings was to facilitate a shift from I am a victim of a separate world to I am the observer of a separate world to I am the creator of the world and I am one with the world. There is no separation. And you may begin to notice through observation, inquiry and contemplation that every moment of experience, and see if you can find just one to start, you may find that every moment of experience is created by your own ideas, your own beliefs, your own programming, your own conditioning, what you believe is your own knowledge of a separate world. Your experience, every moment of experience, is being created by your beliefs, your knowledge, what you think you know about the world. Your thoughts and beliefs in the world are creating your world of experience. And you may notice that it's impossible to experience anything at all apart from that process of your own mind creating the experience. So if you see this with one moment of experience, one emotion, and I'll give you an example. I woke up one morning and this experience that we all know so well called sadness arose in my mind in the morning, like it had many mornings over most of my life. I woke up that morning and as the story of sadness and the experience of sadness that was real. I was experiencing the morning sadness that I knew so well for so many years. In that moment, I realized there's no such thing, that my mind creates the experience of sadness, and that sadness has no independent existence, no separate existence, apart from my own mind, labeling, defining, describing, categorizing, and judging thoughts, emotions, sensations, and a whole experience called sadness was a creation of my own mind. So I thought, oh, I'm on to something. In that moment, there is a shift from I am a victim, to be very specific, and you can find that this applies to, find out for yourself. See if you can find one exception to this rule. A rule of creation. See if you can find one exception. But if you can find one practical application, then you can extrapolate and realize that it applies to all experience. So in this moment, I experienced sadness. I was no longer a victim. That's the first identity that we have. I am a victim of sadness. And with that experience, there is the knowledge or the belief that sadness is a mental and emotional and physical state that exists apart from me, that can come into my consciousness, and I can be a victim, a separate victim of this separate experience called sadness. So that's how I experienced sadness most of my life. And then there was a point where I was the observer of sadness. More and more I took on the identity, I am the observer of this mental and emotional and physical state called sadness. I am the observer of this sadness. And with that shift in identity, there was some relief, because I knew that when I experienced sadness or any uncomfortable mental or emotional state, I had the capacity to shift my identity to observe it, to be fully aware of it. And as the observer, there's a natural sense of space around the sadness that I could use to observe, to question, to contemplate my experience of sadness and ask, what is this sadness? Is it possible that not only am I not a victim of a separate experience called sadness, and also I am not only the observer of a separate experience called sadness, but I am the creator. That my mind is the Buddha mind. My creative capacity is the creative capacity of the universe. My intelligence, my creative intelligence, is the universal creative intelligence, the same creative intelligence that formed this earth and our solar system and our galaxy, is forming every mental, emotional, and physical state, every object of existence is being created by this universal intelligence that I am one with, that is not apart from me. Therefore, every moment of experience that's happening here is being created by the same creator that created the whole universe. So in that moment, I realized I was not a victim of a separate object called sadness. I'm not even an observer of a separate mental, emotional, physical state called sadness, but I am the creator. I am the creator. And that this experience called sadness cannot exist unless I decide beforehand that it can exist and it does exist, and that I can experience it in this moment. I, as the creator, must decide that sadness exists, that it's real, and I can experience it. First, there's the realization that there's a direct knowing, a direct experience, and there's a realization that my experience is determined by what my mind believes it knows. Now, once I realize that I am the creator, once I witness one experience, then I realize I am the creator of this experience. As soon as I realize I am the creator of this experience, then it becomes a decision. I make the decision to experience sadness. I make the decision to experience happiness. I make the decision that I'm going to giggle. See? Once you realize I am the creator, then experience becomes the creator's decision. So I am no longer a victim. of a separate world of experience. I am no longer only an observer of a separate world of experience, but I am the creator. Therefore, all of my experience, my whole world of experience, is my own creation, is my own mind. So this is non-duality realized. There's no separation, because every moment of experience, every object of experience, can only be experienced as a creation of my own mind. Therefore, the world of experience cannot be separate from myself. It's impossible. So this is non-duality realized. I am one with the world because I am making the world. It's impossible for me to experience anything that I have not made. So this is the realization that I'm already the creator, that every moment of experience I label, define, describe, categorize, and judge. And this is the process of the creation of experience. The meditation, contemplation, and inquiry goes into the understanding of the nature of creation of experience, so that the shift is I'm the creator. I want to go into it, I want to inquire, I want to question, I want to contemplate and observe, and see if it's possible that every moment of experience is a creation of my own mind, what I believe I know. Because I want to know, is there any separation at all between myself and any experience? According to the spiritual teachings, and specifically the non-dual philosophy, there's no separation anywhere between any experiencer and an experience. There's no separation. Well, I want to see if that's true. And see in a very practical way in my daily life if it's possible that I am the universal creator, that my mind is the Buddha mind, that my creative intelligence is the universal creative intelligence. There's no separation. This is what I want to know. And if this is true, then the spiritual teachings have done their work, because that's the purpose, to shift from I am a victim of a separate world to I am the observer of a separate world to I am the creator of the world, and the world is not separate from me because I created it. I am creating it. There's no separation. Once you realize that you are the creator of the world and the world is you, that's the ultimate realization that you cannot go anywhere and be apart from yourself